Be me. Feminist since high school, always believed women could do anything men could do. Started playing soccer when I was probably around 6 or 7. Worked my way up through youth leagues, sacrificing everything. Became captain of my university women's team by sophomore year. We were dominating our conference. Championship was within reach. Spent countless hours in the gym, on the field, perfecting every skill. Teammates looked up to me. Coaches praised my dedication. Everything was going according to plan. Then the transgender players started showing up. First one joined our rival team sometime during junior year. Physically massive compared to everyone else on the field. Ran through our defense like we were children. Scored 4 goals against us in the conference semifinal. Our dreams of championship completely shattered. Felt like watching years of training get flushed down the drain. More transgender players kept joining different teams in our league. Suddenly, we went from championship contenders to struggling for wins. These players had obvious physical advantages we couldn't compete with. Speed, strength, size. Everything I'd worked to overcome through skill. Watched my teammates get demoralized week after week. Some girls quit the team entirely. Couldn't handle the frustration. Coaching staff kept telling us to adapt our strategy. Knew deep down that no strategy could level this playing field. Senior year was supposed to be my triumph. Instead became a nightmare of constant losses. Every match felt like David versus Goliath, except David never won. College scouts stopped coming to our games. Scholarship opportunities vanished one by one. Teammates started blaming themselves, thinking they weren't good enough. Watching their confidence crumble was worse than my own disappointment. Graduation approached and reality hit hard. 4 years of college soccer with nothing to show for it. No championship ring, no recognition, no future in the sport. Felt like my entire identity had been stolen from me. Feminist beliefs felt challenged in ways I never expected. Always believed in equality, but this wasn't equality. This was biological advantages being ignored in favor of ideology. Decided something needed to be done about it. Couldn't let other young women go through what I experienced. Needed to prove that skill and dedication still mattered. Came up with a plan that seemed crazy, but felt necessary. If transgender players could compete against women using their advantages, then I could prove women deserved their own protected space, would infiltrate the men's team, and show what real equality looked like. Started researching the local college men's soccer program. Coach Sterling had been there for over a decade. Team was decent, but not spectacular, perfect for my purposes. Spent weeks studying how to present as male. Practiced walking differently, talking with a lower voice, bought men's clothes that would hide my figure, created a fake identity with a believable backstory. The hardest part was cutting my hair. Had kept it long since childhood. It was part of who I was. Sat in front of the mirror with scissors for probably an hour. Kept thinking about all those transgender players who destroyed our season. Finally made the cut. Watched years of growth fall to the floor. Looked at myself and barely recognized the person staring back, but felt determined to see this through. Tryouts were scheduled for sometime in late summer. Showed up early to scope out the competition. Guys were warming up, joking around, completely relaxed. Felt this surge of anger watching their casual confidence. They had no idea what it was like to have their dreams crushed. Never had to worry about biological advantages ruining their sport. This was my chance to give them a taste of deception. Registration process was nerve-wracking. Clerk barely looked at my fake documents. Signed up under my assumed name without any issues. Realized how easy it was to just claim a different identity. Nobody questioned anything, just accepted what I told them. Couldn't help thinking about how this same system failed women's sports. First day of tryouts attracted maybe 30 hopefuls. Immediately noticed how different the energy was from women's soccer. Guys were trash-talking each other, showing off, being competitive. Coach Sterling addressed the group with typical coach intimidation, explained that only half of us would make it past the first cut, told everyone to leave their egos at the door and play smart, felt ready to prove that technique could overcome raw power. Warm-up drills revealed the obvious size difference. Some of these guys were built like linebackers. Their casual jogs were faster than my sprints. When they struck the ball, it moved with incredible force. Had to rely entirely on positioning and anticipation. Couldn't win any physical battles, so avoided them completely. Focused on being in the right place at the right time. Scrimmage portion of tryouts was where I really had to perform. Got matched up against guys who were clearly holding back. Could tell they didn't see me as a serious threat. Used their overconfidence to my advantage. Made several key passes that led to goals. Even scored once myself on a perfectly placed shot. Coach Sterling was taking notes, seemed impressed. Finian was the obvious star of the tryouts. Tall, athletic, natural leader who commanded respect. Other guys automatically looked to him for guidance. When he complimented someone's play, it meant something. Noticed him watching me during the scrimmage. Made a nice pass to him that he converted for a goal. Afterward, he jogged over and said it was a great ball. Felt this weird mix of pride and guilt at his praise. Second day of tryouts focused more on fitness and endurance. This was where my years of training really showed. While bigger guys were gasping for air, I kept going. Had conditioned myself through countless hours of extra practice. Coach Sterling noticed I wasn't struggling like some others. Heard him tell an assistant coach that I had good stamina. Knew I was making an impression despite my size disadvantage. Final day of tryouts was just another scrimmage. Coach Sterling was clearly evaluating specific players. Kept switching up the lineups to see different combinations. Got paired with some of the better players. Managed to hold my own and contribute meaningfully. Made a defensive play that saved a certain goal. Several guys patted me on the back afterward. Felt like I was gaining their respect. Results were posted a few days later. Saw my name on the roster and felt this rush of vindication. Had successfully infiltrated their world using nothing but skill. First team meeting was scheduled for the following week. Spent those days practicing my voice and mannerisms. Knew the real test was just beginning. Walked into that first meeting trying to project confidence. Room full of guys I'd competed against during tryouts. Finian was clearly the veteran leader everyone respected. Coach Sterling introduced the new players to the returning ones. When he got to me, just said I was a transfer with good instincts. Got some nods of acknowledgement from the other guys. Nobody seemed suspicious, just accepted me as one of them. First official practice was scheduled for early morning. Showed up to the locker room feeling incredibly nervous. Had planned my changing strategy carefully in advance. Waited until most guys were already dressed and heading out. Quickly changed in a corner stall while pretending to organize gear. Managed to avoid any awkward situations. Joined the team on the field without incident. Coach Sterling's practices were intense but well organized. Focused heavily on tactical understanding and positioning. This played to my strengths since I couldn't rely on physicality. Spent extra time learning everyone's preferred playing style. Finian was clearly the focal point of most attacking plays. Other guys respected his leadership both on and off the field. Started building relationships through shared struggles in practice. First real test came during a practice scrimmage. Coach Sterling divided us into two teams for evaluation. Got placed on the team opposite from Finian. Knew this was my chance to really prove myself. Managed to intercept one of his passes and start a counterattack. Led to a goal that put my team ahead. Saw him smile and nod appreciatively, despite being on the other side. Gradually started fitting in with the team dynamic. Guys began including me in their post-practice conversations. Would grab food together after training sessions. Listen to them talk about classes, relationships, family problems. realized they were just regular people dealing with normal struggles, felt this growing sense of guilt about deceiving them, but reminded myself why I was really there. Finian started seeking me out for individual conversations, would ask about my background, where I came from, what motivated me. Had to be careful not to reveal too much personal information. Told him I'd transferred because I wanted better competition. He shared his own story about overcoming injuries and setbacks. Found myself genuinely liking him despite my original intentions. His passion for the game reminded me of my own dedication. Team chemistry was building as we prepared for the season. Coach Sterling emphasized the importance of trust and communication. Guys were starting to depend on each other during complex plays. Felt this strange sense of belonging I hadn't expected. They accepted me based purely on my contributions to the team. Nobody cared about my size or questioned my commitment. Was experiencing the camaraderie I'd hoped to find in women's soccer. First game of the season approached sometime in early fall. Nerves were building as Coach Sterling finalized the starting lineup. Had earned a spot as a substitute midfielder through consistent performance. Knew I'd likely get playing time if we were winning or losing badly. Spent extra hours studying game film and opponent tendencies. Wanted to be ready when my opportunity came. Game day atmosphere was electric in ways I'd forgotten. Crowd was bigger than most women's games I'd played. Could feel the energy and expectation from everyone involved. Sat on the bench watching my teammates warm up. Finian looked calm and focused, exactly what you'd expect from a captain. Coach Sterling was giving last-minute instructions to the starters. Felt this mix of excitement and apprehension about potentially playing. We were winning by 2 goals when Coach Sterling called my name, told me to warm up and be ready to sub in. Heart started racing as I stripped off my warm-up gear. Teammates on the bench were encouraging me to go make an impact. Finian jogged over during a break in play and gave me advice. Said to stay calm and play my natural game. Felt this surge of adrenaline as I waited for the substitution. Finally got subbed in during the last 20 minutes. First touch was a simple pass back to our defense. Felt the rhythm of the game and started making runs. Managed to create a good scoring chance for Finian. He converted it easily and pointed to me in acknowledgement. Heard some cheers from teammates and fans. Realized I was actually helping this team succeed. After the game, guys were celebrating in the locker room. Finian made a point to thank me for the assist. Said I'd made a real difference in the final result. Other teammates were patting me on the back. Felt this genuine warmth and acceptance from the group. Coach Sterling nodded approvingly when he walked past. Was experiencing the recognition I'd always craved. Kept getting more playing time as the season progressed. Established myself as a reliable substitute who could change games. Teammates started depending on my creativity and field vision. Finian and I developed good chemistry on the field. Would find each other with passes that other guys couldn't see. Coach Sterling began using me in more important situations. Felt like I was proving my point about skill over size. One practice session turned into a disaster I hadn't anticipated. Was going for a loose ball when one of the bigger guys collided with me. Felt this sharp pain in my shoulder as I hit the ground. Couldn't move my arm properly. Knew something was seriously wrong. Coach Sterling called for the trainer to take a look. Teammates gathered around showing genuine concern. Finian helped me to my feet and supported me off the field. Trainer examined my shoulder and said I needed medical attention. Had to go to the campus health center for x-rays. Finian insisted on driving me there himself. Sat in his car, trying not to panic about potential exposure. He kept asking if I was okay. Showed real caring about my well-being. Felt this overwhelming guilt about lying to someone so genuine. Knew I'd have to be extra careful during any medical examination. Fortunately, the injury wasn't serious, just a bad strain. Doctor recommended rest and physical therapy for a few weeks. managed to avoid any situations that would reveal my identity. Finian waited for me the entire time, even bought me lunch afterward. Talked about how the team needed me healthy for the important games coming up. Said I'd become an essential part of their success. Felt terrible about deceiving someone who clearly cared about me. Recovery period gave me time to think about what I was doing. Had successfully proven that women could compete with men. Teammates respected my abilities and contributions to the team. Coach Sterling trusted me in crucial game situations, but was also developing genuine friendships based on lies. Finian especially had become someone I truly cared about. Wondered if my revenge was worth hurting innocent people. Came back from injury just before our biggest game of the season. Conference championship was within reach if we could win. Coach Sterling had been counting on me being available. Teammates were excited to have me back for such an important match. Felt this enormous pressure to perform when it mattered most. Knew this game would define whether my infiltration was successful. Spent extra time preparing mentally and physically. Day of the championship game arrived with perfect weather. Stadium was packed with more fans than I'd ever played in front of. Could feel the nervous energy from everyone involved. Coach Sterling gave an emotional pre-game speech about seizing opportunities. Told us this was our chance to make history together. Finian addressed the team about playing for each other. Felt this incredible bond with guys I'd originally intended to deceive. Game started terribly for us. Fell behind by 2 goals early. Our opponents were playing with desperation and physicality. Teammates were getting frustrated and making poor decisions. Coach Sterling was yelling instructions that nobody seemed to hear. Crowd was getting restless as our championship hopes slipped away. Knew I had to do something to change the momentum. Halftime arrived with us still trailing badly. Locker room was quiet except for Coach Sterling's disappointed voice. He told us we were playing like individuals instead of a team. Said champions find ways to overcome adversity together. Demanded that we either fight back or accept being failures. Felt this crushing weight of responsibility for the team's struggles. Something inside me snapped during that halftime speech. Months of deception and guilt finally reached a breaking point. Stood up while Coach Sterling was still talking. Could feel everyone's eyes focusing on me. Knew what I was about to do would change everything, but couldn't keep living this lie any longer. Pulled off my jersey in front of the entire team. Revealed the sports bra I'd been hiding underneath. Room went completely silent as everyone processed what they were seeing. Coach Sterling's face went from confusion to shock to anger. Teammates were staring with their mouths open. Finian looked like I'd physically punched him in the stomach. Started shouting about how they lost because the system was broken. Told them transgender players had destroyed women's sports. Said I'd proven women could compete if given a fair chance. Voice was cracking with emotion and years of pent-up frustration. Felt like everything I'd suffered was pouring out at once. Knew I was burning every bridge I'd built with these guys. Coach Sterling immediately told me to get out. Said I was suspended from the team effective immediately. Teammates were still processing what had just happened. Some looked angry, others just seemed confused and hurt. Finian hadn't said a word, just kept staring at me. Grabbed my stuff and walked toward the locker room exit. Had to walk past everyone to reach the door. Nobody tried to stop me or say anything. Could feel their eyes following me with mixture of emotions. Finian finally spoke up and asked why I'd done this to them. His voice sounded so disappointed and betrayed. Didn't have any answer that would make sense to him. Just kept walking until I was out of the building. Sat in my car in the parking lot for a long time. Could hear the crowd cheering as the second half started. Knew my former teammates were back on the field without me. Wondered if they'd be able to overcome the shock of what happened. Felt this strange emptiness, despite accomplishing my original goal. Had proven my point but destroyed something genuine in the process. Drove home while the game was still going on. Didn't want to know whether they managed to come back and win. Felt like I'd contaminated their achievement, regardless of the outcome. Spent the evening thinking about Finian's hurt expression. Realized I'd become exactly what I'd originally set out to fight against. Someone who'd deceived others for personal reasons. News of what happened spread quickly around campus. Some people called me brave for exposing issues in sports. Others said I'd cheated and manipulated innocent teammates. Feminist groups were divided about whether I'd helped or hurt the cause. Didn't really care what anyone else thought anymore. Knew I'd crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. Never found out if the team won their championship game. Avoided areas of campus where I might run into former teammates. Finian tried calling me once, but I didn't answer. Couldn't face explaining myself to someone I'd genuinely wronged. Felt like I'd won a battle, but lost something more important. Revenge had cost more than I'd anticipated when I started this. Transferred schools the following semester. Couldn't stay somewhere everyone knew what I'd done. Found a place with a decent women's soccer program, but discovered I didn't have the same passion for playing anymore. Something had changed inside me during those months of deception. Felt disconnected from the sport that used to define my identity. Sometimes wonder what would have happened if I'd just been honest. Maybe could have made my point without hurting people who trusted me. Finian deserved better than being used in someone else's revenge plot. Those guys had accepted me based on merit and character, repaid their friendship with betrayal and manipulation, learned that winning isn't always worth the cost of victory.